Hello everyone, I'm writer coach Tony and this new vlog I'm making is on the TV show Only Murders in the Building, There's a TV show in I think it's in our HBO Go or Disney, I'm not sure because I'm subscribing to a lot of channels. So I'm confused anymore. Yeah, I think it's only murder. So it stars Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. So they're the three main characters, and they all live in this posh New York apartment, which is for the upper class. Kung dito sa Manila, that would be in BGC. And these three are kind of bored with their lives, so they're looking for excitement. And they do get the excitement because their building turns out to be a murderous building. Um, there are people, there are evil people in the building. It's like Jessica Fletcher's Murder She Wrote. No, there's always somebody who dies in the series. So this is the first season. So Tim Kono is the one who dies here, and the president of the building association. I think it's the first. Yeah, I'm not sure it's the first season too. But anyway, that's how the story revolves, no? Because these three were curious because although they were not close to Tim, they wanted to find out who he was in their lives. So the two guys are not close to Tim, but as the story moves on, Selena Gomez turns out to have some kind of relationship with this guy because they were childhood friends. No? So as the story unfolds, you'll see the friendships that have been formed because these characters were once kids and now they're growing up. So not only Selena's not the only one with a backstory actually. Even Martin Short has another backstory, and it involves the funny Nathan Lane, and it involves one of the sons of Nathan Lane played in the series, who happens to be mute and I think deaf as well. So the introduction of a character like that adds another dimension to the story. Steve Martin is the only one. Yeah, Steve Martin is the most has the funniest role because it turns out that one of the girls he dated is one of the major suspects, no, in the first season. And there's also the policewoman. I like her, and I think the model. Who else? So, and of course, there's this character played by Amy Ryan. She's a cellist, I think, a violinist who plays for the symphony orchestra, and she kind of flirts with Steve Martin. So these are the three main characters: Steve Martin with Amy Ryan, Martin Short with Nathan Lane and his son, and then Selena Gomez and her boys. No? So these three stories move along, and then of course they have this fan club. No? This is a podcast, so this show actually is promoting podcasts, which I've never done yet, which I want to do. But yeah, so yun. So there's a podcast in the story, and it's becoming very popular. So they have these fans who follow them, and also there's another character in the movie played by Tina Fey, who also makes a podcast, and she's a competitor of the three, and the two of them kind of give each other a one-upmanship. And there's also the policeman, in the story, and everything is kind of octopusy. They're kind of um, hitting each other. The stories are kind of overlapping each other, which makes the series very interesting because you never know. I never tried to guess who the killer was because I kind of find this the series a bit juvenile. So it's not like Agatha Christie. So it just was not guessing who the killer was because it does change every episode. No? Who you think is the killer may not be the killer because of certain things that happen. No? and certain things they discover. Um, so yeah, that's how the story goes. But in the end, they eventually unmask the killer. Um, so essentially, the series is very entertaining. Because this is classified as a comedy. So among the five nominees in the Emmy Awards, it's actually the ones I like. The winner, yeah, Abbott Elementary. I've also seen it. It's also funny, but yeah, since it's about school, um, yeah, I don't really. It's not really my cup of tea. But this one, this Only Murders in the Building, is really funny, but not as dark comedy as White Lotus. This one is really straightforward comedy, and you'll find Steve and Martin doing their big share here because lalo na si Martin Short because he's a Broadway producer. So his character tends to be, over the top. You know. So he has a scene here where he talks about his play about mermaids, which is so difficult to make because it has to be done in water. And then he sells the idea to these people, played by Nathan Lane and a host of other, A-list actors. And it turns out that, producing a play about mermaids and mermen is very difficult because of the logistics of having water in a Broadway show. So eventually they lost money. So that's one of the backstories in this series, in this first season of Only Murders in the Building. Also, Steve Martin has a daughter, has a 13-year-old daughter, and in the series, she also comes back. And it turns out that there is another world under their apartments. So there's a series of tunnels. Now you can see it in the series as well, because that's where the daughter hides, and she finds out that the killer just transfers from one apartment to another by using these series of tunnels. So this whoever this person is knowledgeable about these tunnels, and that's how he or she, the killer, can go from one place to another without being detected. So that's how the how the series describes how the killer can go from one apartment to another without really getting caught. So that's one of the mysteries the three sleuths had to find out. Because in the story, there are people who have ulterior motives. Like when the head of the co-op dies, it kind of unearths a lot of worms. And one of the nicest, funniest parts here is played by by Shirley MacLaine. No, she's this old woman who lived in that building, had a painting in that building. Now the painting is owned by the head of the co-op, but it turns out that there's a backstory to that, which is also funny. Turns out that the dad of Steve Martin is was a lover of Shirley MacLaine, and you have to find that out because Shirley eventually discovers the real painting is hidden somewhere. It's a fake painting, and she says, "No, that's not the painting. That's fake. There's a real one." And then they do discover it, in the dumpster, but they do save it, and they do find out about the other history of why Steve's father became Shirley MacLaine's lover. So, and then from their story, it kind of cascades down to the eventual murder of the head of the co-op. In the end, actually, the Denoma scene is kind of confusing because it shifts from one killer to another, but they do find out the real killer in the end. No? Tina Fey also plays a major role. She's also funny in this series, and you should check out her assistant. Her assistant is really funny. She kind of changes her face from a dowdy girl to this high-powered assistant. I forgot. I don't know her name as an actress, but she's very good. I hope to see her in more shows. I'll talk about the second season of Only Murders in the Building in my next vlog. I highly recommend you watch this series, if you're into American TV shows. It's one of the best comedies we have right now. Um, in the American TV landscape, and it also involves my favorite actors Steve Martin and Martin Short, as well as their damsel in distress that they're trying to save, Selena Gomez. So Selena is one of my favorite characters here. Check her out. So please subscribe to my channel, Writer Coach Tony, and please follow me on my Twitter, my Instagram, and my Facebook. Bye, everyone.